He thought he was just testing the security system until it uncovered a chilling betrayal. What began as a routine tech test shattered everything I believed about my marriage. A whisper in the dark, a familiar name, and a plan so cold and calculated, it didn't just betray trust, it obliterated it. But the real betrayal? That was still waiting to unfold. Before I walk you through the secrets that changed my life forever, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. You won't want to miss what happened next. It was late. The office was silent, just the soft hum of overhead lights and the quiet tick of a wall clock breaking the stillness. My screen burned my tired eyes as I finished up one last task. On a whim, I decided to test the new home security system I'd been working on. The live streaming feature was freshly integrated, and as an engineer, I was curious. Just a harmless check, or so I thought. I opened the app on my phone. Within seconds, the familiar sounds of my home streamed through the speakers, subtle, almost comforting. The low buzz of the refrigerator, the creak of old wooden floors. The system's sensitivity was something I was proud of. Then, a voice. Emily. At first, it was casual. She was in the living room, speaking on the phone. But there was something in her tone, too relaxed, too amused. I turned up the volume. He doesn't suspect a thing, she said. Those 6 words were a knife. I froze. She wasn't talking about a surprise party. This wasn't a joke. And as I listened, I waited, dreading the name she'd say next. Brandon. The name echoed like a gunshot in my mind. Brandon? Not just a name. The name. Just a friend from work. The guy who always seemed to be around. The one who helped with weekend projects. The one I'd always suspected, deep down, but never dared to confront. I'm serious, Brandon. He still has no idea. He's too busy playing with his little toys. Her laughter followed. Light. Mocking. Every word twisted the blade deeper. I was no longer listening as a husband. I was observing from above, as if detached from my own life. We're starting the plan. I'll take the kids, the house, everything. He won't even see it coming. Her voice was colder now. Robotic. Like this was a business transaction, not a life being dismantled. I could barely breathe. Then she made another call. Yes, she told the next person. Brandon's handling everything. All we need is for Daniel to keep doing what he always does. Be predictable. Predictable. That word lingered. She'd turned my routine into a weapon against me. Every day I spent trusting her had only made her plan stronger. I ended the recording. The silence around me felt like a vacuum. I couldn't go home. Not yet. I drove with no destination, letting the city lights blur past the windshield. My thoughts were a storm. Rage, disbelief, betrayal, but also, strangely, admiration. For how thoroughly she'd crafted the lie. For how carefully I'd been played. But one thing was clear. The story wouldn't end the way she'd written it. Not this time. The next night, we argued. It started with something trivial, like always. The thermostat. Emily stormed into the kitchen, slamming drawers and flinging accusations. How many times do I have to tell you to keep the temperature steady? You've turned the house into a sauna, Daniel. But something in me had shifted. My voice came out low. Calm. Emily, why are you so angry lately? Don't you think it's a little much? She froze. Just for a second. A flicker. Then her mouth slipped, and with it, the mask. Maybe if Brandon had listened from the start, none of this would have happened. Silence. My name is Daniel, not Brandon. The moment passed in a breath, but in my head, it stretched into infinity. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. What did you say? I asked coldly. You're being paranoid again, she snapped. You always do this. You invent things. But the damage was done. There was no more pretending. Every suppressed doubt, every quiet suspicion, came rushing back like a tidal wave. That laugh, that touch, that lie. And I knew. I had to see it with my own eyes. The next day, I followed her. She left the house with the same carefree smile she always wore. Said she was meeting friends. But I wasn't convinced. Not anymore. I drove a block behind her, heart pounding, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned pale. She turned off the main road, away from our neighborhood, toward a more private, wealthier part of town. Every instinct in me screamed to stop, but I kept going. Eventually, she pulled up to a gated property. Black iron. Motion activated. The gate slid open and her car disappeared behind it. I parked a block away, got out, walked the rest of the way, slow and cautious, like I was approaching a crime scene. The leaves beneath my shoes crunched like thunder. I found cover behind a cluster of bushes. And then I saw them. Two silhouettes. On the softly lit veranda. A woman's laugh pierced the still night air. Light. Free. Unfamiliar. It was Emily's laugh, but not the one I knew. It danced out from the shadows with a softness I'd never heard. And then I saw her, standing with Brandon. Her hand rested gently on his shoulder. His arm curled confidently around her waist. They looked rehearsed, polished, as if they had performed this scene a dozen times before. I remained hidden among the trees, heart hammering, listening. The wind teased their voices, some words swallowed, others hurled at me with cruel clarity. Once it's over, everything will be ours, Emily said. We need to move faster, Brandon replied. I'm done waiting. My breath caught in my throat. My chest tightened. Something inside me fractured. This wasn't just an affair. It was betrayal with intent. A future being plotted in the ruins of my trust, carefully, quietly, and on my back. I wanted to run, but my legs had rooted themselves to the earth beneath me. I stood still, hidden, as if watching someone else's life fall apart. When Emily returned home later that night, I stood behind the front door, tempted to confront her, describe every detail, right down to the coffee cup she was holding. But I said nothing, because in that moment, a different plan began to take shape inside me. Silent, methodical, just like theirs. But mine wouldn't end in whispered promises. It would end in devastation, the kind no one saw coming. The dinner table, once a place of warmth and laughter, it had become a minefield. Every glance, every word, every breath, measured and dangerous. My children sat quietly, focused on their plates. Emily chewed her salad with robotic indifference. But inside me, a storm was rising. I could no longer contain it. Emily, I said. Calm. Controlled. Her fork stopped midair. She looked up. Yes. I know about Brandon. Silence followed. Thick. Crushing. My younger son dropped his spoon. My daughter stared at me, confused. Time stood still. Emily blinked, then composed herself with practiced ease. I don't know what you're talking about, she said. That familiar mask. The same false innocence I had once believed. But I saw through it now. Don't lie. I said, my voice like steel. I heard the calls. The plan. To blame me. To take the kids. The house. Everything. Still, no remorse. No apology. She laughed. A predator's laugh. You're pathetic, Daniel, she said coldly. You really think you've heard everything? No one's going to believe you. Not the kids. Not the court. Not the neighbors. Her words struck harder than any slap. My daughter whimpered, Mom? Emily didn't even glance her way. This isn't your playground, sweetheart, she said, voice devoid of warmth. That was the moment something inside me crystallized. The woman across from me was no longer my wife. This house was no longer my home. But I still had one thing left, control. The quiet before the storm. I didn't sleep that night. Locked in the study, under the soft glow of my desk lamp, I combed through every detail I had quietly gathered over the months. Bank statements, email trails, password changes. It had all been orchestrated. She'd been laying the groundwork long before I ever suspected. But I had planned to. Silently. That night, I transferred all our joint savings into a private account I had opened weeks earlier. Canceled every subscription and loan under her name. The gym, her magazines, her favorite spa, gone. But I left the children's education fund untouched. They were still my world. Still innocent. Emily, however, would wake up to nothing. I took a blank sheet of paper. No dramatics. No goodbyes. Just 7 simple words. You can't steal what's already gone. I placed the note next to her coffee machine, the one she used religiously each morning, then walked through the house one last time. I pulled a blanket over my son, asleep in front of the TV, closed the door gently behind my daughter. I didn't pack, didn't take a suitcase, not even a bag. I wasn't just leaving the house. I was leaving the illusion. The wind stung as I stepped into my car. But for the first time in months, I could breathe. This war would no longer be fought in silence. It would be fought in action. And Emily? She had no idea that the first blow had already landed. The gala. The final act came weeks later. Emily had been invited to speak at a major charity gala. She adored these events. Polished, applauded, adored. Her image meant everything to her. She'd step on that stage glowing like a saint. But the script had changed. And this time, I was the one directing. From the shadows, I had prepared everything. The audio, taken from our home's security system, was crystal clear. Her voice, unmistakable. Once we pin this on him, I'll take the kids, the house, and everything else. I waited in my car, parked in a quiet lot several blocks away. I didn't need to be present to watch her fall. The email was ready. Recipients, everyone on her guest list. Subject, a voice she never meant you to hear. Attachment, the recording, plus a full transcript. As Emily took the stage, smiling in front of glittering lights, I hit send. Moments later, phones lit up across the ballroom. Whispers rose. Confused glances. Furrowed brows. Then outrage. What is this? She's planning to take the kids? Is this real? Emily paused mid-sentence. What's going on? She asked, voice cracking through the microphone. An old family friend stood slowly, phone in hand. Would you care to explain this, Emily? All eyes turned. Emily's face turned pale. She stammered, reaching for excuses. This recording, this can't. It's your voice, the woman said coldly. Your words. Crystal clear. And the mask, Emily's carefully curated persona, shattered in front of everyone. For years, she was celebrated as a role model, the embodiment of grace, philanthropy, and motherhood. In the eyes of the city, she was untouchable. But behind the polished smiles and charity galas, everything was a facade. The whispers started small, hesitant, doubtful. But truth has a way of growing louder. Eventually, it was undeniable. Applause turned to silence. No one met her eyes. No one offered her praise. I wasn't there that night. I didn't need to be. It was her stage, and she was finally choking on the lies she built her life around. All I did was pull the curtain back. The truth did the rest. The recording spread like wildfire. Overnight, her social circle vanished. The same women who once toasted her now blocked her. Social media tore her apart. Hashtag Fake Saint Emily was trending in hours. But the blow that shattered her came from Brandon. Within days, word spread. He'd cut ties, said something along the lines of, I didn't think you'd go this far. He vanished from her life. Lover gone. Friends gone. Support gone. Even her family stepped back. Her once fiercely protective mother was overheard telling a neighbor, we never really knew her, did we? She had spent years crafting a character, pristine, flawless. But in the harsh light of truth, that character crumbled into the villain. And me? I stayed quiet. No statements. No interviews. No public revenge. Because this wasn't about spectacle. This was about truth. And truth doesn't scream. It waits, then speaks when the world's finally listening. But I knew Emily. And I knew she wouldn't go down quietly. Her ego wouldn't allow it. Deep down, I felt it. She was preparing for something darker. And this time, her target wasn't me. It was the kids. The scandal had shattered her reputation, but not her resolve. A wounded animal is dangerous, but a cornered one? That's lethal. One morning, there was a knock. I opened the door to a police officer, standing stiff in full uniform. He handed me a document without meeting my eyes. Emily had filed a domestic violence report. I stared at the paper, cold, clinical, as a storm built in my chest. One thought echoed. She couldn't beat me in court, so now she's trying to bury me in a cell. I called my attorney immediately. We reviewed her claims, the photos, her narrative. But Emily's downfall was always in the details. The bruises? Inconsistent with any medical pattern. The timeline? Implausible. The day of the supposed assault, she was on camera, laughing in a cafe, drinking her latte, perfectly unbruised. The footage hit the internet. The backlash was brutal, not just toward her, but toward everyone who had ever believed her lies. The police dismissed the report swiftly. Lack of evidence. But the damage to her credibility? Irreversible. All that remained now was the final reckoning, the day in court. She arrived like an actress playing grief. Dressed in muted tones, dark circles painted under her eyes. Her lawyer by her side, more stage manager than legal counsel. She dabbed at imaginary tears, held tissues like props. Every glance was rehearsed. I sat motionless. No theatrics. Just truth, cold and immovable. She painted me as the monster. Controlling. Cold. Distant. She cried, he's punishing me. Financially isolating me. Keeping my children from me. I've lost everything. That part was true. But she left out the reason why. Then my attorney stood. We played the phone call. Her voice, crisp, unmistakable. Once we pin this on him, I'll take the kids, the house, everything. Silence. The judge leaned forward. His face unreadable, but tension rippled through his fingers tapping the bench. Emily looked away. Next came the financial records. Lavish spending, luxury subscriptions, secret charges tied to Brandon. The children's school supplies, neglected. Then came the witnesses. Former friends, now disillusioned. One said it best, her life is a script. And we finally saw the real version. Finally, the judge spoke. Measured. Unshaken. Final. Miss Stevens, he began. Based on the pattern of behavior presented, this court finds you unfit at present to maintain a stable and nurturing bond with your children. He turned to me. Custody is hereby awarded to Mr. Daniel Stevens. Emily's mask cracked. She sprang to her feet. No, I'm their mother. The judge's voice was a gavel. That's enough. He continued. Your financial claims are denied due to insufficient evidence. Her legs gave way. Her attorney tried to steady her. But she stood alone. And no one, not the judge, not the audience, not even the court clerk, looked her way. Outside the courtroom, I found her waiting. Her voice was low, venomous. You'll pay for this, Daniel, she hissed. One day, you'll regret it. I met her eyes. Calm. Steady. No, Emily, I said. My only regret is not seeing you clearly sooner. I walked past her. And just outside, my children waited. My daughter calm, her hand in mine. My son holding a little notebook, beaming with quiet pride. For the first time in years, I felt it, freedom. But even then, I knew this story wasn't over. Emily wasn't done. And whatever came next would break all the rules.